Great. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Well, welcome everybody to all of our witnesses here today. I appreciate taking the time. And Tom, great to have you here,
Thank you.
be able to represent Nebraska. If Tom brings just a wealth of information to this committee, if there is a job involving water in the state of Nebraska over the last 40 years, Tom has done that job. He has been obviously currently in West Point and a great community there in Cumming County, but just your depth of expertise is amazing. And I'm actually going to read off some of the stuff because it's pretty impressive. He served as chairman of the Governor's Advisory Council for Drinking Water, chairman of the Municipal Energy Agency of Nebraska, chairman of the League of Nebraska Utilities Section, and president of the Nebraska Rural Water, just to name a few. You're currently the chairman of the Nebraska League of Municipalities Small Cities Legislative Committee. Say hi to Lynn for me.
I will
when
do
you get
that.
back. And if you're not busy enough, you're engaged in various civic engagements where you've served as the utility superintendent for the city of West Point since 1993 and added city administrator to your business card in 2001. And you still got both those titles today, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it just shows that, again, small towns, people wear a lot of hats.
Absolutely.
Before the committee today, your post is the Nebraska Rural Water Association. You've been on the board there since 2005 and currently serving as its on the executive committee. So thank you again, Tom, for being here. I really, really appreciate your experience that you bring to this committee.
Thank you, sir.
So, welcome. And what I'd like to talk a little bit about is many small and rural communities face significant challenges in accessing and managing the federal infrastructure dollars due to limited staffing and technical expertise. We saw this in other areas as well, like the Department of Transportation and so forth. When we met in February, the Nebraska Rural Water Association shared some of these barriers. What types of resources or policy changes could Congress consider making to federal programs to make them more efficient for small and rural communities?
You know, a lot of it comes down to simplifying the application requirements for those small communities. Typically, they know best of what their needs are going to be when it comes to upgrading their systems or changing equipment and that type of thing, along with the assistance from, the Nebraska Rural Water Association. Our circuit riders are there lending assistance in quantifying that. And then once they get to that point, once they can get to some type of formulation of what that community needs, that's when an application needs to go in, and then that should allow for some additional engineering then at that stage, once that project is identified and the community can have some buy-in, for lack of a better term. The other thing is that reducing those match requirements. A lot of small rural communities, they stretch every dollar they have. So when they're looking at this and they're looking at the match requirements to comply with that, it becomes difficult. Then they've got to balance out where the priorities lie within the financial capabilities of that community.
Yeah.
So consequently, some of those projects get put on the shelf then at that point.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily true for West Point, because West Point is really doing well, but what we see, is it fair to say in a lot of our rural communities, we see that as the younger people move away and you're left with a declining population of older folks, that just adds to the complication of being able to get these water projects done?
It does, and along with that is our aging workforce. We see a lot of operators aging out. Those are one and two man operations. So, once that legacy leaves that community, they're difficult to replace. So that makes the challenge even more difficult to help sustain that community.
Is there something we could do in Congress to be able to help with some of those workforce challenges?
Mm-hmm. One of the things is the apprenticeship program. The Senator Capito put in place a few years ago, and we need to get that moving in Nebraska. We need to get that funding moving in Nebraska. We need to get an apprenticeship program and start that process to engage those communities and show them options and bring trained operators to the facilities.
Yeah. Can you just give us briefly just how some of these federal funding programs have made otherwise cost-prohibitive projects in small towns and rural communities possible?
Yeah, I mean, basically, when you're looking at the projects themselves and you're looking at the market base on interest rates and that type of thing and the longevity, it makes it more economically feasible for those small communities. There's the grant basis that they also can qualify for, which also helps them move those
Can you give me an
projects forward.
example of a specific project off the top of your head?
You know, the easiest example right now is the city of West Point. You know, we did the water project here a few years ago, where we had a $2.7 million water treatment plant. Of that $2.7 million, $553,000 of that was loan forgiveness. And then in addition to that was the 1.5% interest rate plus the administrative fee for the state. So it makes it very economically feasible to get those programs in place rather than going out to the open market.
All right, great. Well, we lost our chair. So I guess I'm in charge on the Republican side now. I'm going to take a moment just to talk a little bit as well about an important project. It's not specifically related to the drinking water, but access to water in general in our state is obviously important. We're the largest irrigated state in the country. And I was just in Scotts Bluff last week, and the Gering-Fort Laramie Canal collapsed while I was governor, and we worked to get some temporary repairs in place there. It's owned by the Bureau of Reclamation, but through a program, they built the canal there 100 years ago. And when it collapsed, it cut off about 55,000 acres of Nebraska farmland from getting irrigation water. And that obviously is just huge for a state like Nebraska, where irrigation's big, but also agriculture's our biggest industry in the state. And so we're going to be looking for opportunities to be able to have the federal government partner to be able to get the permanent repairs on that done, because right now it's operating like at about 80% capacity. And I was just talking to folks about, again, just getting to this idea of like how expensive it is for these projects and how with the drinking water and making it possible in West Point, but the cost that would be for those farmers to be able to pay the extra fees to be able to get those total repairs done would be really, really challenging. So that's another project, another example of how the federal government can help partner with states and local communities to be able to get these water projects done.